tell you a little bit about our journey with T-levels. So we started T-level delivery in 2020, so we were a Wave 1 provider. So I wanted to tell you a little bit, first of all, about why we decided to do T-levels as a college. So firstly, initially we were South Downs College. We had just merged with Havant College, and all of our A-levels were moved to our Havant campus. And so we had what we wanted to focus on as a vocational and technical campus at the South Downs campus. And we really felt that T-levels was an opportunity to certainly promote technical and vocational excellence. We were really impressed with the content of the qualifications, and we really felt that this was, like I said, an opportunity for us to have a vocationally focused campus. We also felt it was a real chance to modernise our curriculum. Some of you may know that, for example, the BTECs that we were delivering at the time in digital, for example, still had floppy disks on the curriculum. So we really wanted to make sure that what we were delivering was up to date and modernised. And obviously where the T-levels had just been designed with employers and universities, we felt this was a real chance for us to modernise what we were offering. And perhaps most importantly, I think that it was about student ambition. And certainly my perception as a vocational curriculum manager and then head of faculty at the time was that a lot of the curriculum we offered vocationally didn't really prepare students as well as it could for the world of work. And we felt that the T-level placement particularly really helped increase our students' employability. So we wanted to be ambitious for our students and certainly make them more employable. So we very much decided that as a college, we wanted employers to be at the heart of T-levels. And so one of the things that we did long before the T-levels started, actually, so each year we've done this and it worked so well that we've done it with every subject prior to delivery. We've set up what we've called employer partner boards. So I'm sure other colleges will have different names for these, but basically it's a board that we meet with every sort of half term or termly, made up of employers in that sector and universities in that sector. And first of all, we talked about the T-level specifications, what they thought of the spec. Did it prepare students for their sector appropriately? Did it prepare students to move on to HE programs? We talked about placement timing. So when would be the best timings for students to come on placement once they'd seen the spec? At what point would students most benefit from having an industry placement? But also what model that the employers wanted. So did they want day release? Did they want block placements, and so on and so forth? You may be aware that every college gets a specialist equipment allocation. So we were really keen to work with these partner boards around what we should be spending that allocation on. And we've also submitted bids for each T-level before delivery to try and get funding, capital funds for estates refurbishment. And we were really keen to hear from these boards as to what the facility should look like. I'll give you one example. When we were preparing the health T-level, we knew we wanted a hospital ward, but some of the employers we spoke to, so some of our trusts said, look, hospital isn't the only place that nursing happens. You also need to teach the students how to nurse in the community. So at our South Downs and our Alton campuses, we've also got facilities that look like bedrooms so that students learn how to nurse, for example, in a nursing home or out in the community. We also talked to the partner boards about skills gaps in teaching teams. So where our staff needed to go out and upskill. This was certainly something that we looked to do. So we got quite a few staff back into industry to update their knowledge. But the other thing that we managed to do was encourage employers to actually contribute to the curriculum. So another example on our construction T-level, we've had, there's an expectation on the design, surveying and planning that students learn about quantity surveying drones. So we don't have this skill set. We don't really have high-tech surveying drones, but one of our employers, that's part of their business. So they said, look, we'll come and deliver that bit of content for you. So that's been really valuable for us, those conversations around that. And then lastly, and this fits in really nicely, if you work in a college, you'll know about the enhanced skills inspection. So it fits in really nicely with that. But we've done a lot of work with our partner boards around the sequencing of the curriculum and the curriculum design. You know, what order should we be delivering the curriculum in? What's really important to get done at the beginning? Like I said, what's important before the students go out on placement, those sorts of things. So these partner boards have been really, really valuable to us. And what we found is that having those conversations and establishing those relationships with the employers long before we're talking about can you take a student on an industry placement has been really valuable for us. So then when we want to start asking about placements, I think those employers have already got a vested interest in the college because they've been a partner of ours for a while already. I also wanted to tell you a little bit about what I feel have been the real opportunities and benefits for us as a college. So one thing I would say is prior to T-levels, I certainly felt that as a college ourselves, we were a little bit siloed. We didn't do a lot of collaboration. We didn't do any partnership work or any communication with other colleges. And certainly starting T-level delivery, I think, has really, because it's been challenging, and I won't pretend it hasn't been, but it's been really valuable for both myself at a leadership level, but also my staff at a curriculum level to collaborate and talk to other colleges about the challenges, about solutions. And certainly I know that's been very therapeutic for a number of my colleagues to be able to raise concerns and not just have to come up with solutions on their own. So yeah, certainly I think it's been a real opportunity for us to collaborate with other colleges. An example of that, we did some work with Barnsley College, and so we had some students that on the digital T-level that were having some input from Lockheed Martin around coding, and we managed to get Barnsley College in online with that session as well. So really good opportunity for the students at Barnsley College on the back of a partnership that we'd created. Another opportunity, I think, for us has been the chance to talk to universities about what we call academy programs. And I've got a slide on this later, so I'll talk about that in a bit more detail then. But basically, it's been about working with the universities around particular subject areas and where we can enhance the student experience by working with the unis. Like I said, each T-level that's come and each wave of T-levels, we've put in capital bids, and we've been really fortunate as an organisation. We've been successful in every wave. One of our strategies was that we really felt that if we were going to be doing these new qualifications, we wanted them to be industry standard. We wanted them to be with industry standard equipment in really high-tech industry standard facilities. And so each T-level we've put bids in and been successful, and then we're delivering these qualifications in fantastic facilities with state-of-the-art equipment. So that's been really beneficial to us as an organisation. It's allowed us to put a lot of investment into our campuses, but certainly the T-levels have been a real opportunity for us around that. Upskilling of staff, I really feel that we've got buy-in with T-levels in HSDC, and I think it's partly to do with the fact that we were able to say to them, you know, we've got this funding. What would you want to spend this equipment on? We've got these new facilities. What do you want them to look like? But also there's lots of opportunity for staff to upskill, to go back into industry through the ETF Industry Insights Programme, for example, and spend time back in industry. There's lots of courses that staff can take. So our digital staff, before the digital T-level started, went on courses and learned Python. So they learned new languages and coding. So these sorts of things, I think, really helped staff to feel that they were being invested in, and then helped us get their buy-in around T-level before delivery. And then lastly, I think it's been a real opportunity for us as a college to increase our reputation nationally. So we literally, when at the start of T-levels, when the DFE were reaching out to colleges saying, can you do this? Have you got students for that? Every time we were asked something, we said yes. And now we are one of the sort of go-to colleges, I would say, for requests like that. So we've established a really good relationship with the Department for Education, but we've done a lot of support of colleagues at other colleges that are slightly behind us on the journey, that maybe started delivery later. And so I think that's really enhanced our reputation as a college, and I think that's really benefited us. So I just wanted to show you a few of the facilities that I was talking about. So our construction T-level, we've got a specialist or two specialist facilities for this, with one of the things that we purchased was 3D design software, so AutoCAD and Revit, which is used in industry. Top right, one of our digital facilities, all got high-spec PCs, dual screens that you would find out in industry. And then the bottom two are an image of one of our specialist early years facilities, so a teaching facility with a nursery setting at the other end. And then this is a few photos of some of our health and nursing facilities. So we've got specialist nursing facilities, really high tech. They're quite scary, but they're quite high tech. These mannequins, they breathe, they bleed. We can communicate to students through the iPads with them. We can set medical conditions, and then all of the medical parameters change. So you can see here that the top right image, it's set up as a hospital ward. Bottom left is one of a number of new science laboratories that we created. And then bottom right is one of our community nursing facilities that we have. So you can see it's really enabled us to invest in the campus and sort of have industry standard facilities and equipment for delivery. In terms of getting our staff ready, the ETF offer, like I said, is fantastic. One of the real valuable elements to this is a individual training needs analysis. So the staff can do one-to-one sort of analysis of their understanding of T-levels and their skill set. And then the programme will set them a series of CPD opportunities to take that will help them upskill ready for delivery. So that's been really valuable. Taking teaching furthers meant that we were able to get some funding to get people from industry into teaching, and we got a new digital teacher, a new construction teacher on the back of this, which has again been hugely valuable for us as an organisation. The industry insights I mentioned, so that has been the chance for our staff to go back into industry. There are some fantastic networks through the ETF where, like I said, colleagues from other colleges can work with our staff, looking at subject-specific challenges. And then, like I said, as well, there's this route and subject-specific courses that can come out of the training needs analysis. The last bit, the trips, we've been involved in a number of these. So again, it's a project where you can do T-level resource improvement projects. We led on a trip around hospital placements for the health and nursing, but we also got involved in a number of other trips as well, resource improvement projects around digital and construction. And this is the opportunity to get some funding to free up staff to basically look at any concerns that you might have with a particular T-level and some challenges that you think you might face. And then that allows staff time to then try and address that. But they're not doing it on their own. They're doing it in collaboration with other colleges. So there's usually 3 or 4 other colleges involved in those projects. So it's a collaborative approach. So in wave 1, so this is back in 2020. These were the numbers we started with. Obviously, it was during sort of COVID and quite a challenging time for us, but we were quite pleased with these numbers. Digital's always been a little bit of a challenge to recruit to for us, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a while. And these are our current numbers. So you can see we've seen quite a bit of growth in a number of areas, and there's some areas that are particularly strong. So this has been really valuable for us in terms of being able to justify why we're doing T-levels. But certainly, really, from our perspective, we've seen really strong growth in numbers over the years. Just wanted to show you what our outcomes were like. So bearing in mind, these are 2-year learning aims. So this is our first cohort of learners that completed from 2020 to 2022. So that's probably either in line or slightly higher than what we would expect for a 2-year learning aim. So some A-levels tend to be a little bit lower than that we offer. So pretty good outcomes from us for our first wave of students. And then this is what we got for wave 2. There's a few areas to explain around this. So the health, you may have heard there were some issues in the first year with the health T-level, particularly around the examinations. And we had quite a few students that dropped the T-level after year 1 and went back to BTECs. Because of the issues with that, and the same with the healthcare science. So I think that explains some of the lower achievement rate numbers there. I said I'd mention partnerships with universities. So we felt this was a real positive opportunity for us to talk to the unis about these qualifications and how we felt they were better preparing students for maybe some of their degree programs. So one of the areas is construction. So with the University of Portsmouth, we have some partnership teaching. So some of the PhD students at Portsmouth Uni come and deliver some of our content for us, which is fantastic. We also have access to equipment at the uni that we wouldn't have access to normally. So our students have been down to the university using their earthquake testing, like seismic testing tables. They've also come and done masterclasses for our students in surveying and planning and so on and so forth. And then we've also had technician support. So some of the equipment that is used for surveying, they've helped us in terms of calibrating that equipment. So we also have a health and nursing academy with both Portsmouth and Chichester unis. So again, students have access to facilities. They go down and do some of their sessions at the unis. We've had guest lectures, so we've had teachers and students coming in to talk to our students about, what makes a good student nurse, or how to deal with certain situations. So how to deal with, at the time, we had lecturers talking about COVID wards and so on and so forth. The students get UCAS support, so they get help with their UCAS applications. And then you may be aware that students that are applying for nursing degree programs have to have a nursing and midwifery council interview. So the unis have also helped us prepare our students for those interviews. So really valuable partnerships with the unis, really positive experiences for our students, and certainly helping them understand what the next steps would be and how to access those. So I wanted to show you a little bit about some of our students' success. And I think the key thing to take from this is that the T-levels have provided our students opportunity to go either to apprenticeships, higher ed, or employment. So we've had lots of students that have gone straight into higher apprenticeships on the back of the T-levels. So Joe, I had a call with him actually recently. He's at Babcock. He was a digital student in our first cohort and is having an amazing time working at Babcock International. Josh Tice, so the bottom left here, he did his placement with Lockheed Martin, and they took him onto a degree apprenticeship in software engineering, which is amazing. Harry was one of our nursing students, went straight onto a master's as a nurse paramedic, which is a fantastic opportunity for him. And many of you will be aware how it's quite challenging to get onto midwifery. So Amy was one of our students that went to a midwifery degree program. And then again, like I said, lots of our students that complete their T-level placements then get taken on by their employer. So a few of our students here, that they did their placements with these companies, and then were fortunate that they'd obviously impressed and were taken on by those employers at the end of their T-level program. So fantastic destinations for our learners. And like I said, I think that was our real motivation. We wanted to make sure our students got great destinations from these qualifications. And certainly, I really feel that that is the case. They definitely make our students more employable. Bit of info about destinations. So we saw quite typically from our early years, in terms of what we did before T-levels, a lot of our students tend to go on to HE to either study sort of primary education or early years and childhood qualifications. This is a few of our students from our Alton campus that went on to Norland Nanny training at Norlands College. But yeah, you can see here a large percentage of our early years students do tend to go to HE, slightly less for digital and construction. Our digital students very much had sort of hopes of going on to apprenticeships, and a lot of our students do end up going to higher apprenticeships, and the same there with construction. And this is our second cohort. You can see a bit of a mixed bag. So we're getting around about 40–50% of our students going on to university. And like I said, a lot of them are then going, the ones that don't go to uni, a lot of them are going straight into employment or apprenticeships with the employer. It hasn't all been plain sailing. I won't lie to you, there's been some challenges along the way. So we've certainly had some challenges with recruitment to some T-levels. What we found is where there's a really clear pathway into employment or the next steps at HE, the recruitment to those T-levels has been really good. So for example, the health T-level, our students see it as a step to nursing. Engineering, our students see it as either going to study engineering or at HE or going straight into employment. However, some of the T-levels where that's not so obvious, our numbers have been a little bit lower. So the T-level infrastructure, the digital infrastructure T-level, we struggled a little bit with numbers there. And we've also struggled with the T-levels in medical and healthcare science. So the healthcare science T-level is probably less clear to students where they'd go with that. And we're only getting about 10–12 students studying that each year. And then the other one, we actually stopped one of the T-levels that we started delivery of initially. So the science T-level, which is a lab tech science occupational specialism. We ran a first cohort of that, I think with 6 or 7 learners, but we've really struggled with recruitment to that. And I think that although maybe it's clear where students might go, aspirationally, if students want to study science, then potentially they might go down an A-level route. One of the things that we learned very quickly was around what the criteria was that was required to help students be successful. So another example is our health T-level. There's a lot of science. Certainly there was. It's reduced slightly, but in the first release of the specifications, there's a lot of science. So we changed our entry criteria to ask for double science at grade 5s to support our students. And to support that, we've also made sure that our T-level foundation year programme has plenty of science in it. So if students come to us and have to do a level 2 qualification first, then there's a clear pathway for them to go from the level 2 to the T-level, but they get that foundation science in that level 2 year. That's been really important. One of the other things we found is quite a lot of our students, and it's great that the employers find them so employable, but a number of our employers partway through the student T-level have sort of poached them onto apprenticeship programs. Really good example of that is early years. We've had quite a lot of students taken on to early years apprenticeships, which has meant they haven't finished their T-level. So a great destination for the learners, maybe not so great for us. but yeah, that's again been a bit of a challenge. Another area that we're always working on and looking to improve is the progression from students from the foundation year at level 2 to the T level. And one of the biggest challenges around that is students that come to us at level 2 without English and maths. And then they've got that year to pass English and maths before, because we expect students to have English and maths as an entry criteria for the T level, largely because of the size in terms of the delivery that's required. And to get the placement hours and the T level hours, it would be really difficult to do a GCSE alongside. So we generally have the expectation that students have that to get onto the T level. And so if you're only getting sort of 35% of students pass English and maths on that level 2, that obviously prevents them from progressing. So we've done a lot of work around that as an organisation. But one of the other things that we've done is we've added a preparation for T-level unit, where the students do a project on the programme at level 2, and they also do a part of this unit is focused on study skills. So looking at how we can prepare students in terms of research and exams, and also for the employer set project that students have to do on the T level. There's a lot of expectation around them being able to present, for example. So we do a lot of work on that level 2 programme, getting students to develop their presentation skills. Face-to-face digital placements is still a challenge. We've got lots of employers that have been saying, yeah, absolutely, I'll take a student, but I don't have a place of work because my staff work online. And so there's always a challenge around this. I think I've just done a recent survey with the DFE asking about whether there should be some more flexibilities applied to this, and certainly we think that's the case. I wouldn't want students to not do a placement at all, because I think that it's really valuable to have the skills of going into a workplace. But I certainly think there should be some flexibility, particularly with this sector, around how many of those hours could be done remotely. The employer set projects and the occupational specialism assessments are huge. So they're very time consuming and staff heavy. So we're fortunate, we're quite a big college, and we've got lots of staff that work on quite a few of these T levels. But some of the assessments, for example, so the children and young people at occupational specialism assessment in the second year of the T level for the health T level, there has to be 4 members of staff for each student assessment. So you've got 1 member of staff recording it, 1 member of staff is a patient, 1 member of staff are the parents, and 1 member of staff is assessing. So quite a challenging workload for staff, and like I said, quite staff time heavy. So that's certainly been a challenge. And again, we've fed lots back to the awarding bodies and the DFE, and they're sort of working with us to address it, but there hasn't been much change on that at the moment. And then lastly, one of the challenges that we've seen is lots of students that would normally have gravitated towards vocational qualifications tend not to be so strong at examined assessment or examinations. And so there's been a bit of a challenge, firstly, helping making sure we're getting those students ready for those exams, but also the staff. So these are staff that in the past might have spent most of their time preparing students for assignment-based assessment, and the staff would do lots of marking, but they've had to change their skill sets a little bit around getting students ready for exams. So that's been a challenge as well.